Good morning and welcome to our regular distance learning education by Metro PABSON. It's me, your science teacher. Today, we'll learn about the history of Earth, the first chapter in the portion of astronomy of class 10. In the history of Earth, we'll learn more about how the Earth is originated and how the life was possible in the Earth. Similarly, will be the different phenomenon that occurs during the evolution of the earth. As we know that there was no fixed or there was no certain theory that describe how the earth is originated, and no life was begin. Remind this point, no life was begin at the time of the origin of the earth. So, there was no any fixed fact, or there was no any fixed theory regarding the evolution of earth. We only assume how the earth have been evolved in this universe, and earth is a planet. The earth is a planet of our solar system. The earth along with the other planet, the earth along with the other planet in the solar system have been evolved by the different process. This process have been defined by the different hypotheses, and the hypothesis means only that fact, not fact based solution or fact based problem. It defines, or it only shows that different theories regarding that hypothesis. So, first of all, before going to the chapter, let us discuss about how the earth and the life was originated. First, during the time of the origination of earth, no life was possible there, because the temperature, the oxygen and other fundamental things that required for the evolution of life was not evolved during the origin of earth. So, life and the earth are not originated at the same time. Means, first of all, the earth was originated, and after a long time, after the long time of the formation of the earth, or we may say that the origination of the earth, then the life was possible in the earth. No human beings have been evolved during the first life of the earth, or we may say that human beings was not the first living creature of the earth. There was the development of this from the cell to the multicellular organisms. First of all, our cellular organisms have been developed in the earth, then after the multicellular organism, then after the human life, and the present life of the earth. The present life of the earth is dominated by the women. So, it is the life of human beings and the flowering plants. So, it is also known as phanerogamic era. That means the life in the earth, or the earth is totally dominated by the human and the phanerogamic plants. Similarly, before the evolution of the human beings, there were the different types of animals which have been evolved in the earth, like the dinosaurs. They are the huge reptiles. Similarly, the amphibians, which have been dominated the earth surface in that time period, like we will discuss later, that like that of Jurassic, and Cretaceous period. In that period, the dinosaurs evolved and dominated the earth surface, and similarly they got extinct at that time period. So, before going to the chapter, let us certainly look to the slide. In the slide, we will have the different descriptions regarding the earth of origin of the earth. So, first of all, the history of earth, that is, there is no rigid and the factual statement about the history of earth. As I told you, all the evidences that have been collected, or all the hypotheses that has been given to the present world, is based on the study of rocks and fossils, as well as their radioactivity. The earth is supposed to have been originated some 4.5 billion years ago. That is the estimated age of earth. And some of the statistical important data are, that is the source is encyclopedia. From the encyclopedia we have taken the source like the estimated age, total surface area, area of lithosphere, area of hydrosphere, diameter, mass, mean density, and the satellite is only one, that is the moon. The earth has only one satellite, that is the moon. Now, in second slide you can see, as I already told you, that hypothesis. This hypothesis regarding the origin of earth have one unsolved questions, means these are only based on the assumption, not on fact. As we already discussed that during the origin of earth no life was evolved. So, there is no fact or there is no hidden fact about the earth, how it is originated. So, these all are the hypotheses regarding the origin of earth and the solar system. So, the first hypothesis is planetesimal hypothesis, or the name George Offen hypothesis. It is named after the scientist. Let us discuss about it. A French scientist, George Offen, put forward a hypothesis in 1749 AD. According to this, the hypothesis, the earth along with other planets and satellites were formed when a comet revolving around the universe struck the sun millions of years ago. This hypothesis is also this hypothesis does not hold the truth. So, it is not regarded as the best hypothesis. So, another hypothesis like nebular hypothesis or Kant-Laplace nebular hypothesis, it is regarding of the most of the comprising or convincing hypothesis, and this hypothesis states that the sun and other planet were initially in the form of molecular cloud of dust and gases. Such cloud begin to grow by pulling other nearby clouds in the form of nebula. That is, small particles start to join each other and the large gravity or gravitational force is created inside them and they form like a big ball, that is nebula. When it becomes sufficiently large, it started to contract due to its own gravity, as I told you, and developed extremely high pressure and temperature. This initiated the nuclear reaction at the inner core. The inner core, inside the inner core, due to the high temperature and the pressure, nuclear reaction start, and during this process outer ring detached from the central core and fragmented into smaller nebula. The central large nebula became shown and other nebula around it gradually cool down and become planet, satellite and other heavenly bodies. That means, the whirling cloud mass, the moving cloud mass that get attached to each other, so that the gravity of inner core increases and there develops the extreme high pressure and the temperature and nuclear reactions occurs, that the central mass become the sun, and after that the ring get detached, and that nebula around the central mass gradually cool down and become the planet or satellite. See, in this figure you can see the formation of nebula, and the nebula, what is the nebula? That is, a nebula is a giant cloud of dust and the gas in the space, that is whirling cloud mass, moving cloud mass, that is cloud mass of dust and gas. Some nebula, more than one nebula, come from the gas and dust thrown by the explosion of dying star. As we know that star also die after a certain period of time, as the nuclear reactions stopped in in star also. If the mass of star become more than 3 times more than the mass of sun, then there will be no nuclear fusion after a certain time interval, and it will not produces the light and it changes into the supernova. And other nebula are the region where the new stars are begin to form. So, you can see here nebula regions where the new stars beginning to form. For this reason, some nebula are called star nurseries. These are the figures of some nebulas, you can see. Now, nebular hypothesis about the origin of the solar system. You can see in the video, there in video you can see there is a movement of cloud, dust particles, that dust particles whirls, you can see the movement of the dust particles, and at this, when the dust particles moves, the centrally located mass become a big ball, you can see like that big ball, and the outer ring gets detached and it becomes cool, and slowly central become the sun and other becomes the small heavenly bodies become the other planets like earth, moon and satellites and planet. You can see in the slide like this. See, this is the video you see in the slide, that is the whirling mass. That whirling mass slowly cools down and the centrally located inner core become the sun, and the outer mass start to cool and becomes the another planet. Again I will repeat that video. You can see how the solar system formed by the nebula. You can see in the slide, yeah. And the centrally located large mass, that is sun, the temperature becomes so high and other start to cools down, and small balls, you can see a small black ball, that is small balls are the heavenly bodies known as planets and satellites, and they respectively forms the solar system. And you can see in the down figure there is the supernova explosion, that is the explosion of stars after they die. Yes, this is the formation of solar system. Now, another hypothesis is tidal hypothesis or Jean and Jeffrey's hypothesis, and this hypothesis is regarded as most of the convincing hypothesis till now. And this hypothesis regarding the origin of earth was made in 1917 AD, and according to this hypothesis, huge star orbiting round the sun finally approached to it, and the large mass of gas was ejected from the sun due to the tidal effect. That means, due to the differences in the gravitational force between the two different objects, that large mass of gas was ejected out from the sun, and that mass get cooled. That means, while cooling, the tidal matter fragmented into the smaller pieces, forming the planet, satellite and other heavenly bodies. This is how our solar system formed. Again, according to this hypothesis, a large mass of gas was ejected from the sun due to the tidal effect, and that mass gets slowly cooled down and forms the planet, satellite and other heavenly bodies. This hypothesis is also known as tidal hypothesis or Jean and Jeffrey hypothesis. You can see in the figure there are the different time period for the evolution of life. That means, in the figure you can see LIF, life means present age, and it is go on changing. You can see a red ball mass. That red ball mass is the initial stage of the earth, and then it is gradually changes and gradually cools down into the second figure, that is different mountains were developed there. Then again it cools down, and the water, life supporting medium like oxygens and other materials were formed there. Then the life was originated in the earth. Then after it start to cools down and the changes was made or changes were seen in the earth in the time interval, then the life was possible in the earth. So, you can see that is the big mass of starting age of earth. At the starting age of earth, it was a big firefall. It was a big fireball. Then it starts to cool and changes like this. Different structures have been developed into the earth along with the time period. Now that changes into like this, and now some life supporting medium start to evolve in the earth. You can see that the green substances means land structure was changed, land structures was start to originated, then after water start to form. This was the life supporting medium. So, the mass of water is more than the mass of the land, and that the aquatic animal start to develop from the water. First of all, water was formed. So, aquatic animal was developed from the water, then after the land structure was formed similarly. So, you can see the life. Now, we are in the stage from this. Before this stage, before that stage life, human beings life start from this, you can see. And now all these skills which I have shown in you the slide, all the time scale, that means it is not a single day procedure, or it is not a single day changes or year changes, it is a millions of years, and it took a very long time for changing to one stage to another stage. So, all these stages that got changed in the earth from its begin or from its origin to the present is called geological time scale. All the scales you can see are scales that covers the earth history from its origin to the present. It is called geological time scale. As we already told you that the estimated age of earth was 4.5 or 4.6 billion years. That means our earth is 4.6 billion years old, and all this year was divided into the different time frame, as what was the changes at that time frame, what was the evolution at that time frame, and on the hierarchy intervals. This time frame was divided into eons, era, periods and epochs, which was given by International Union of Geological Science, International Union of Geological Science, that is IUGS. Again, geological time scales means it is a different time scales, or it is a different time period from the origin of earth to the present time period till now. So, there are the different time periods which is divided into the different hierarchical order. That hierarchical orders are eons, eras, periods and epochs. And in the table you can see the time intervals, that in form of eons there are 3 time intervals. They are Phaenozoic era eon, Proterozoic eon and Archeanic eon or Archean eon. That is, Archean year is about 25 million years to 3800 million year ago. Proterozoic eon means 570 million years to 2500 million years, and Phaenozoic means 570 million years to present. That means we are in the stage, or we are in the eon of Phaenozoic. Phaenozoic eon, where the human life or human beings dominate the earth surface. You can see the next, that is Phaenozoic. What is Phaenozoic eon? That means it begins from 570 million years ago and is still continuing at the present. Different types of vertebrates and the phanerogamous plants were developed in this eon. These eons are further divided into era, periods and epochs. That means 570 million years to the still is the time of the development of the vertebrates. You have the different types of theories regarding how the human beings have been evolved, and the human beings will have been evolved, or the vertebrates have been evolved from the 570 years ago, 570 million years ago, not before that. Before that, different types of other organisms were being dominating the earth surface. So, this Phanerozoic eon have been divided into different types of era. That is first Cenozoic era, present to the 65 million ago. Present to the 65 million years ago. This era has started from 65 million years ago, and it is still continuing and is divided into 2 periods. They are quaternary periods and tertiary periods. Quaternary periods and tertiary periods. The quaternary periods consist of Holocene, It is further divided into two epochs, that is Holocene and Pleistocene, that is two epochs. You can see the tertiary period that lasted until 2 million years ago. The tertiary periods that lasted until 2 million years ago is further divided into 5 epochs. They are Pliocene, Eocene, Miocene, Oligocene and Paleocene. And the wide variety of animals and plants that we know today existed into this Cenozoic era. As I told you that we are being dominating the earth surface not from the very long time, that means from the origin of the earth. During the origin of the earth, there was no suitable time frame for the human lives to evolve. At that time, different types of animals and different types of plants were not evolved at that time. And after this duration of the time, the earth starts to slow down. The earth starts to slow down and the different life supporting mediums start to evolve in the earth, and the unicellular organisms evolved at that time. That unicellular organisms get changes into the multicellular organisms, small plants changes into the larger plants, and the changes of life or changes of the animals start from time to time. And human beings have been evolved only from the Cenozoic era, only in the Cenozoic era. That means we are the human beings. We are the human beings in which the animals and plants known to us are only came into existence during the Cenozoic era, not before that. And before the Cenozoic era, another era, that is Mesozoic era, which is very important for the human beings, is Mesozoic era, that began about 250 million years ago and ended about 65 million years ago. It was the middle life. At that time, large organisms like dinosaurs, Carboniferous forest have been evolved and dominated the earth surface. And nowadays we are in search of the fossils, in search of the different evidences that whether the life was or the human life was possible at that time or not. And by the different evidences collected from the fossils, we only came to know that dinosaurs at that time was the huge reptiles that dominated the earth surface. So, this Mesozoic era is also known as the era of reptiles. See, it began about 250 million years ago and ended about 65 million years ago. This era is further divided into three periods, namely Cretaceous, Jurassic and Triassic. That means Cretaceous, in which the dinosaurs start to evolve in the earth surface. Jurassic, that is huge reptiles like dinosaurs start to dominate the earth surface, and Triassic is the period at the time in which the earth, that means in which the dinosaurs got extinct from the earth. So, this era was known as the era of reptiles and the huge reptiles. Era of reptiles, as the huge reptiles like dinosaurs roamed the earth, so that means dominated the earth surface and also got extinct in the same era. Okay, okay students, in coming classes we will discuss more about the different eras and the different life that have been evolved in the earth surface. So, till then have a nice time. Bye. Thank you.